Hello and welcome back. In this section, we will see how you can have custom authorization provided to your user in your SAP UI5 application or Fiori application in SAP Build work zone. So how to do that? And before we actually start on the hands-on, we would like to discuss a little bit of theory. Now the basic unit is role, and these roles can be like an user of the application or admin of the application. So this can be a basic unit of the role. And when multiple roles are combined, then you can create a role template out of this particular roles. So you will say an array of roles. So multiple roles, 1 to n, I can have grouped together, and I can call that, okay, this is a role template. And I can have 1 to n number of role templates, and I can create a role collection, and I can provide this role collection to this user. So the user will get all the roles which are part of all the roles template. Now in our xs-security.json file, you have a popular roles like the xs app name display. So if someone wants to have the view access for the application, then you provide this particular role to the user. And there's also one more role which is popular with xs-app-name.edit. So this $xs-app-name will be replaced by the actual application name in your SAP BTP environment. Now there are multiple other roles similar to this display and edit, which you can also provide to the user, or you can use these roles to create the roles template or role collection. Now when we have this role defined in our xs-security.json file and we deployed the application to your SAP BTP environment, then automatically from your xs-security.json file, the roles template and the role collection will be part of your SAP BTP account. Automatically it is picked to the individual user. You can actually give this role collections or role template as well, so the individual user can accordingly act on this application. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are going to first add the roles to our xs-security.json file. Then we are going to deploy the application to the SAP BTP environment. Then we will see if we don't provide the roles to the user, then what will happen? Will the user be able to access the application? And if we are not able to access the application, then we will provide the role to the user. Then the user is able to access the app. Okay, so this is the steps which we are going to follow in the hands-on. So let's go to the hands-on and see this in action. So welcome back. We are now in our BAS environment and we have opened the xs-security.json file. Now within this xs-security.json file, we have certain attributes or properties which are pre-provided. So at the time of creation of this application, these properties are provided. So some of the properties like the xs app name, tenant mode, description, and then there is a scope which is an empty array, and then there is role templates which is also empty array. So what our objective will be to define roles, and this role templates we will create. Now within this role templates we can have 1 to n number of roles. We will also create one more property, and that is role collection. So these are the things which we have discussed just now in the theory. So first we will define the scope, and using this scope we will create roles. We will provide that role in the role templates, and then using the role templates we will create a role collection. Let's get to it. So the first thing which we will create is we'll create a scope with the display access. So whenever we want to provide a display access to the application, then we will use this $xs app name, which will be replaced by the actual app name in the runtime. And this will be the display scope. And then there is a description, and this can be a meaningful description like display the app to user. Okay, so I need to close this description string. Okay, now in the role templates, I can have 1 to n number of roles. So to start creating the first role, I can create an object, and then I can say what is the name here, and the name is sample display role. So this is the name which I can provide, or sample one display role. And then I have to provide a description, and I can say sample, just closing this description string, sample role template, and then scope reference. So using the scope reference, we can actually get the scope and link to this particular role. So the role name is sample one display role, and there is some description just so that the other users can understand what this role is all about. Scope references. Now this scope references again is going to be an array, and you can have one or many scopes here, out one to many scopes put in the scope references to a single role. So for now, I'm just going to add this name, which is the $xs app name display. Now there are also other scopes which are out of box defined, like your edit, which we discussed. Now in the role templates, we only have this sample one display role. Now what we are going to do is we are going to use the sample one display role, and we are going to create a role collection out of it. So again, it is the same process. You have a name for the role collection, and I can say sample one display role collection, and then in the description I can have some meaningful description, sample role, sample one display role. Okay, then I can also have here the role template reference. So using which role templates you want to create this role collection. So that is what it is referring to. So I can say role template references. Now the next thing is to add inside the role template reference the name of the role template, which is sample one display role. First I have to add the xs app name, then dot, and then sample one display role. Okay, so this is the name which we have to provide as role template references, and the role collection can have multiple role templates, and therefore you can provide multiple role templates in the array as well. Okay, so just to make this more meaningful, I can just also create this sample one display role temp, the name I can provide it that, and then I can also just change here the name accordingly so that it will be more meaningful. Okay, there's one small typo which I can see here. This should be scope reference. Now if there is certain typo within my xs-security.json file, then at the time of deployment it will highlight, okay, what are the issue which my xs-security.json file or XS UA service creation is having due to the typo issue or some error within this xs-security.json file. And if there are issues or there are typos, then in the roles in SAP BTP, then you will not find those roles created or those roles template created in your SAP BTP account as well. Okay, so everything is done. I will right click in MTAR.YAML file. I will build the project, and once the project is built, then I will deploy the SAP BTP sample one MTAR file. Okay, so the process is completed. I will navigate to this MTAR archive file just to navigate to the application first, then MTAR archive file, and then I can see if deploy SAP BTP sample one MTAR. Okay, so it's going to take a few seconds, and once the deployment is completed, I'm going to resume the video.